Emergency management crews have been monitoring the winter weather moving across the area, especially in the Texarkana region.
KTBS 3's Rick Rowe joins us live with more on how the roads are looking on the Texas side. Hey, Rick.
Good morning to you. You're right. This is actually Texas and Arkansas, two states, and it looks like it's going to be a very significant event. No snow, very little snow. We had some yesterday, flurries, nothing significant. But it is the ice that is going to be the curse. And you can see it illustrated here. Look at the accumulation already over the last few hours of ice. Now, this is just a small bush. This is not going to be a problem. It's the larger trees. And of course, Texarkana is much like Shreveport-Bossier. Big, beautiful pine trees that have been growing for 50, 60, 70, 100 years. I was told by someone earlier this morning that it sounded like a battle zone in her backyard as these large branches from these large old trees begin to break and fall. Now you can imagine when that happens, on occasion, they're going to fall on a power line. This is the illustration I want to give to you. Even, let's just say that no limb falls on a power line, just ice, like you see here, accumulates. The equivalent weight of ice, just a half inch of ice on a power line between two telephone poles, is the equivalent to a grizzly bear, about a 500-pound grizzly bear sitting on that power line. So you can imagine the damage that that is going to do. So unfortunately, we don't have a winter wonderland here. We have a serious situation developing in this part of the country. 36,000 outages as of about 4:15 this morning in the three-state region. That's Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. A lot of those, and this is early reporting, about 23,000 just in the Texarkana, Arkansas region. So I wish I could give you good news. I don't know about the roads yet. We're going to head out on the roads a little later on, but the bad news is there is an accumulation, a significant accumulation on ice, on trees, and that does not bode well for the future here in Texarkana in terms of power outages that are probably going to increase all day long. Coming back to y'all.
Another area we're watching in particular is the Texarkana region.
And we have KTBS 3's Rick Rowe joining us live from there with more on how the roads are looking. Rick?
Yes, it is very different from what Madison showed you earlier, a winter wonderland up there at Beavers Bend, Ho Chi Town. Not so here. In fact, no snow. We may have gotten some flurries yesterday. But right now, the issue is freezing rain on power lines and power outages, and this will give you some illustration. We're going to flip the screen here. We're going down State Line Avenue, and this is the road that kind of cuts right through Texarkana. As you know, there's Texarkana, Texas, Texarkana, Arkansas. It's dark here. Sean Vaughn, Public Information Officer in Texas on the Texas side. It's dark here because the power is out, correct?
Yeah, we've got power outages really pretty much across the city here and there. It's kind of sporadic. You have some neighborhoods that are power and then some that don't. So I know SWEPCO has been working on this pretty much all night.
Right. As we continue down, and by the way, there is no red light here, so Jeff is stopping just because he's being cautious and prudent. But as we continue down, you're going to see the difference because as we keep going, there's going to be power. So that speaks to the random nature of the power outages. Let's talk about roads, Sean. This one is fine. This is State Line, a major thoroughfare here. No ice, no problems at all. Coming and meeting us from your home, you encountered no issues.
No issues. The officers that were working last night, they shared that early on they had some issues maybe with some slushing and icing on some bridges, but I come across the bridge myself there at Richmond Road across the interstate and had no issues whatsoever there. But you do want to be careful. Certainly if you're driving in, you don't want to hit any black ice or anything like that sneaks up on you there, but pretty much the roads just are pretty normal. They're just wet.
They're just wet, exactly. Now the issue is going to be, and this is going to be, I think, significant, based on what I saw earlier and what you're going to see. I heard reports, people said it was like a battle zone, and the sound of pine trees, those large limbs on pine trees cracking and breaking and falling. Of course, when that happens, it obviously poses danger to you if you're walking your dog, that kind of thing. So be careful and aware of that. The other big issue is going to be branches from trees onto power lines, and then of course the freezing rain on those power lines. So power outages, the loss of power is going to be significant. The last number that I had, and this is about 45 minutes ago, 36,000 out in the SWEPCO region, the three states, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Texas, and significant outages, about 23,000 of those in the Arkansas region, which is kind of where we are now. Again, a tale of two cities here, literally two cities, two stories. Traffic, road conditions, no problems. Power outages, probably going to be a major problem. Coming back to you.
Emergency management crews, of course, have been monitoring the road conditions all around the Arklatex, especially in the Texarkana region.
KTBS 3's Rick Rowe joining us live now with more on how the roads are looking over there. Rick?
Good morning, Shannon. You're right. This is really a tale of two cities and two stories. Of course, the two cities, the Texas side, Arkansas, and the of Texarkana, and then the Arkansas side. Now, let's flip the switch, Jeff, if you would. We just passed one limb. Anyway, we're in a neighborhood. I wanted to come to a neighborhood because this is where the issues are going to manifest, and there already are. The issue is not roads. Roads are fine. Okay, that's the good side of this story. The bad side is right there. See the limbs down? And this is Texarkana is much like Shreveport. Large trees, mature trees, and when they get accumulations of ice, they begin to snap off. And you can see this happening in this Highland Park neighborhood. There's another one, okay? The problem is going to be twofold. Driving, you've got to be careful, especially because the power is out in this particular neighborhood, so it's dark. So you don't know if you've got a clean road, a clear road, or not. And there are some substantial trees down. We're about to encounter one right up here. In fact, there's a neighbor. You see the bright lights? That neighbor encountered this very large tree that was blocking another neighbor's driveway. So and you'll see this a lot. This is the great thing about where we live and the neighborliness of where we live. Neighbors will help neighbors, and we're going to get out now and kind of show you what's going on here as this neighbor begins to cut through a large tree that has come down. And of course the issue is going to be, why are these trees coming down? Well, it's the accumulation of ice. We've had lots of freezing rain here. No snow, very little snow, but lots of freezing rain and ice. And that weight of that ice is weighing on these trees and these limbs. Look at this. This is an entire tree here, big, huge tree. Pan over to your left a little bit, Jeff. There you go. See the big, huge tree? I mean, this is a massive tree. Thank God it didn't come down on the house. It did come down on the road, and that's going to be the issue. So twofold. When you're driving, okay. He's actually driving through. I think so he's got a tractor, and he's breaking through. So he's not going to cut through with power saws. He's actually breaking through the limbs to clear this driveway. But what we may be able to show you in just a second is why that tree fell. And it's because it's covered in freezing rain. I'm out of time, unfortunately, but let me tell you this, just to give you an idea. Look at that. And I, unfortunately, think this is going to be happening all over this part of Arkansas. Arkansas side, Texas side of Texarkana. These huge trees are going to be coming down, and in many cases they will fall on power lines, and you know what happens then. Then the power is out, and it is out in this neighborhood, the Highland Park neighborhood. And I suspect it'll be out on many neighborhoods throughout the Texas side and the Arkansas side of Texarkana. But you can see this is just the beginning of the issue here. Good news is the roads are fine. Bad news is lots of ice on trees and power lines. Coming back to you.
KTBS 3's Rick Rowe
Here we go,
brought
Jeff.
us some live coverage just moments ago about one of those tree limbs that was down on the road. And Rick, what are you seeing now?
Yeah, it's not pretty here. This is ugly, unfortunately. That's the difference in just a degree or two. You have that beautiful winter wonderland, and here all you have is freezing rain. In fact, it's begun to sleet again. It's bouncing off of me, so the sleeting has begun again. And the issue is going to be ice, freezing rain, and the accumulation on trees and branches. You can see it there, and you know that that is a curse when it comes to power and to trees. Here's a huge tree, very mature tree down in the Highland Park neighborhood of Texarkana. And this is going to be the issue throughout town. In fact, just this morning driving through, we've seen large branches down in this neighborhood. Also, the power out is out here in this neighborhood. We've seen a lot of power outages here, but you can see this is a massive tree. Now, fortunately, this one didn't hit a power line, didn't hit a house, it just came down in front of the road. So there's really two stories here. The road conditions are good thus far. This is Sean Vaughn, public information with the Texarkana side of the city. Sean, that is the good news.
Right.
We've had no reports of any roads that are out, bridges or anything. So that's the good news.
Pretty good on the road.
The bad news is this.
Yes.
This is going to be the issue in terms of power outages.
We've got power outages across the city and a lot of neighborhoods. It's kind of sporadic, but they're kind of all across the city there.
And that issue is going to be, as you're driving, folks, you may not have any ice on the road, but your red lights are not working in a lot of places.
Them are not working right now. We've been able to get some stop signs up on some of the major intersections there, but anytime you come up on a stop sign or red light that's not working, you know, you need to treat it as a four-way stop.
Yes.
You know, just don't blow through it.
Yeah, be very, very careful, folks, especially because it's so dark. This neighborhood, and a mature neighborhood, Highland Park, completely dark here. And it's sporadic, it's random. We've seen it, some areas where plenty of power, some parts of State Line Avenue, nice and lit up the way they're supposed to be, and others not.
Yeah, it looks like the neighborhood actually one block to the west of here has got power.
So there's a random nature to this whole thing. Talking with someone with SWEPCO earlier, there were at least 36,000 outages, but that was at about 4:15 this morning. I'm sure that number is up, and a lot of those, about 23,000, and I'm sure this number is up too, were on the Arkansas side. But here's to give you an idea of why this is so dangerous and why water or ice on limbs can bring down a tree of this side or power lines. Amanda from SWEPCO gave me this analogy. If you have just a half inch of frozen rain on a power line between two telephone poles, that is the equivalent of a 500-pound grizzly bear sitting on that line. That is the power of just a half inch of rain, frozen rain on a power line, 500 pounds. And that's going to be the issue, unfortunately. Everybody involved in SWEPCO is out, plus they are more than likely going to have a lot of help. The neighbors, SWEPCO regional folks come in, at least probably 1,000 plus of those. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to be very, very busy. It looks like this is going to be an issue for perhaps days as this happens all over the cities of Texarkana, Texas, and Texarkana, Arkansas. Back to you.